Hi, this is Joyce Farrell. This video is about creating properties. Suppose you own an apartment building and you decide to create an apartment class with which you can create objects that represent the apartments that you rent. Within the class, you might create fields that hold the apartment number of each apartment and the rent for each apartment. These fields are private, so you typically might create a public method to return the apartment number to outside programs, and you might typically name it Get Apartment Number. You might also have a Set Apartment Number method that accepts a parameter and allows you to set the apartment number. Similarly, you'd have a Get Rent method and a Set Rent method. When you write a program, you might declare an apartment object and use the Set Apartment Number method to set an apartment number. You'd send an argument to the method and assign the field. You could use the Set Rent method similarly and assign a rent to its appropriate field. When you're ready to produce output, you could call the Get Apartment Number method, and it would get the apartment number from the field and return it to the program. And the Get Rent method would work in a similar way. It would take the rent and return it to the program. The Get and Set methods for the apartment number field are very typical Get and Set methods. They don't do much except either return a value or assign a value. When Get and Set methods for a field are so typical, you can substitute them with a property. When you create a property, it's public. It has the same data type as the field it represents. In this case, apartment number is an integer, so this property is an integer property. And it has the same name as the field it represents, except the property starts with an uppercase letter. Then between curly braces, you write accessors that can access their fields. You write a get accessor that returns the apartment number. This is exactly the same thing that the method did. You write a set accessor that assigns a value to the apartment number. This is what the set method did. The difference is the set method had a parameter with a name that it assigned to the apartment number, but the set accessor uses a C# word value that it assigns to the apartment number. In a minute, I'll show you where value comes from. In the main method, instead of using the Set Apartment Number method, you can now use the apartment number property, and you can assign a value using an equal sign. The advantage to this is it looks just like simple variables, how they're assigned. 102 becomes value, and it's assigned to the apartment number. Instead of Get Apartment Number, you can use the apartment number property. Again, the advantage is the syntax is simpler. The apartment number is returned from the class and can be output. We can do the same thing with Get and Set Rent. We can remove them from the class and create a property for rent. Instead of the Set Rent method, we can now just assign a value to rent, and instead of the Get Rent method, we can now just output the property rent. In C# you can also create an auto-implemented property. Instead of repeating the syntax of returning and assigning a value in Get and Set accessors, C# allows a shortcut. You can just say public int apartment number, the name of the property, and between curly braces, get and set. With rent, you can do the same thing, public double rent, and between curly braces, get and set. These properties work the same way as the longer versions did. It's just the convenience of simpler syntax. Once we've created the more concise class, there's one task left to perform. Once you create auto-implemented properties, you should remove their corresponding fields. These corresponding fields are no longer the fields associated with the properties. New fields are created internally. And if you use these fields within the class, you won't be setting the same fields as the ones that are set using the properties. So now the class is even more concise. The advantage to using properties, and especially auto-implemented properties, is that your syntax is much clearer, briefer, and less prone to error. Thanks for watching.